Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unlocked Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. As you know, right here on The Unlocked Show, we talk about all things when it comes to business, family, and life. And in today's session, we want to talk about how you can actually, or is it even possible, to cure things like long-term chronic illnesses. How do you heal your body using your mind? How do you actually do that? And is it even possible? And I think you guys are going to be super intrigued by my very special guest today. I absolutely love her. She jumped online. We had a bit of a chat, and I think she's just the bee's knees. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy what she has to talk about. So if you're someone who's been suffering from, chronic illness or ailments in your body for some time, you really do need to listen to what Dawn talks about. As somebody who is a success guide, an intuitive, a certified holistic therapist, the owner and founder of Alleviate Pain. She was actually also a chronic pain sufferer herself for over 31 years. And she used to take somewhere in the vicinity of 13 odd painkillers a day just to be able to get out of bed and actually function. She had to learn how to walk again, even though doctors told her that she was going to be disabled for the rest of her life. So that being said, I'm not going to give you away all of her secrets right now because I actually think you're going to love listening to what she has to say. I want to introduce her and welcome her to the show. So welcome to the Unlocked Show, Dawn. It's fantastic to have you here.
Oh, thanks, Tracy. Thank you for having me.
I thought you would love her accent. I absolutely did. As soon as she started speaking, I'm like, oh my God, she sounds like I can hear, my grandmother in her voice. So I absolutely love to hear her accent when she jumped on. So Dawn, tell us a little bit. I mean, you've got a really interesting backstory, right? So tell us a little bit about that and what was going on, those 30 odd years of chronic pain. What was going on with you?
So many issues, health issues from a very young age, and I've not actually realised to what extent until I got really, really sick. And apparently, I've been sick from about 1 years of age, suffering from ear, nose, throat, kidney issues, vein issues, bowel disease, just the amount of health issues that I'd actually suffered before the age of 16. And I've not really
Wow.
remembered much of it. It's kind of like I disassociated from having such a sick childhood because I was in and out of hospital all of the time. So most of my childhood was spent being sick. And I'd not really remembered much of it until I started going, okay, how long has this been going on for? Because I feel like I've never been healthy. Like I can't even
Mm.
recall ever really feeling 100% well for very long. So when I started to investigate, I realized that from age 1 is how long I'd actually been sick for. And it was a range of issues. So 3 autoimmune diseases, disability, injuries. So I had 11 injuries from an accident that I had when I was pregnant. And I just sat and I was like, there has to be a better way. Like, seriously, there has to be a better way. This cannot be my life. I can't live like this anymore. So that was kind of the thing that had me start to investigate different ways because it was like what I'm doing is obviously not working. It's not sustainable. I get well for a period of time and then I'm back again with another autoimmune disease or an injury or something going on in my life. So that's a real like high level snapshot view.
Yeah, and I suppose you got to that point where you're just like absolutely fed up of and sick and tired of being sick and tired all the time. So you get to a point where you're like you said, this just cannot go on. What the heck is going on? I need to start figuring this out. And obviously over that long period of time, I can only imagine the number of doctor's visits and, specialist appointments that you would have gone to, only to find yourself having to take more and more and more drugs and prescription drugs to try and curb or mask whatever was going on.
That's
And
exactly
so
right.
at that point where you were like, oh my God, what do I? Ugh, there's got to be a better way. Talk me
Mm.
through like what was the process there, and where did you go to start trying to figure out what was going on with you?
So the first time that I really started to take control, and I didn't learn the first time, I had to have multiple times. But the first time was when I was 22, and that was a bowel disease. So that had been diagnosed as ulcerative colitis. And at that point, I'd been discharged from hospital in a wheelchair with 32 tablets a day to be able to function and keep my bowel. And I started to notice that these medications and tablets were having really nasty side effects, to the point that I was having to go to hospital or the doctors every week to get kidney and liver tests. And I'm like, hang on a minute. So in order to keep a bowel that I can actually live without and have a colostomy bag and eventually get a new bowel made, I'm putting my liver and my kidneys at jeopardy. That is a huge thing. If I need to have a transplant or I have to have my kidney removed and function with one kidney, this is not making sense. So I started asking these questions, and I was shut down a lot by the doctors. Like, just do what you're told. Stop asking questions. And I'm like, that makes me want to ask more questions. So I started to wean myself off of the drugs, because I got myself psychologically into a place of going, okay, I've got through the worst of it. I believe that I can heal. I believe that now I can come off of the drugs. So I started to wean myself off, and the doctor was like, no, you can't do this. You shouldn't be weaning. I said, listen, I've been on them for like 3 to 5 years now, and I'm starting to feel like I have mastered my body to an extent. I know what triggers me. I know what makes me sick. I know that stress has a massive input into how bad my flare-ups are. I'm understanding this, and I'm understanding that I had anger issues, and I'm understanding all of this. I've been starting to understand on a deeper level. And from that, what happened is I just started to, and I don't condone this for everybody to do this, but I started to just go, I'm going to listen to myself. I'm going to listen to my body, and I'm going to take myself off these drugs. And I started to wean. And then I was completely off of 32 tablets. I took myself completely off them, and I had one flare up, and I've been in remission for about 17, 18 years of that disease.
Wow.
Absolutely no flare. There's no sign that I've had any kind of flare up in any of the tests that I had done in the last decade.
So one of the things, someone's saying here, wow, that's a really bold move, and it absolutely is. And like you say, I mean, that's been a real journey for you to have got yourself to the place where you were like, I totally believe that I can come off of these. And so at that point, I'm imagining that that's kind of given you, that was your first real insight into, hang on, there's something about this. If I believed that I could do it, and then you were able to do it, and it got you off all of those drugs, was that sort of the first point where you realized that, gosh, there's a lot more to this? My mind is really powerful.
No, there's 2 more incidents prior to that. So this was a lead up to this. So don't think that I came in and went, that's it, I'm coming off of all of my drugs. There was 2 incidents that happened when I was younger. The first one was when I was like 15 years of age. Me and my friends got drunk, and I remember thinking, I don't like this feeling. I don't like this feeling that I'm not in control. I don't like the fact that I don't feel safe with my friends. And I actually talked to myself sober. I sat in a bathroom for 10 minutes and just kept saying, I am sober, I am sober, I am sober, I am sober. And I came out completely sober. And I looked after my friends, and I got us all home. So that was the first incident. Underage drinking is massive in the UK, by the way. Most people start drinking at the age of 12 or 13, which is quite sad, really. But that's the life that we led over there. It was just norm. It was just a norm to be drinking, but I didn't like that feeling. It was the first time, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't feel in control. I don't feel that we're safe. We're vulnerable. And I just talked myself sober. That's the first time I realized, hang on a minute, that's really powerful. The second time, and this one is really powerful, was when I was actually in hospital with the bowel disease, and I was wheeled 3 times to the operating theatre to have my bowel removed. And something inside of me just knew I didn't need to have my bowel removed, that I'd get through it. I just knew, had this absolute knowing. And I was discussing it with the surgeon, the doctors, the nurses, and they said, I've never in my entire career, this was a surgeon, he said, I've never in my entire career met someone who is so certain that they don't need a procedure. After the 3rd attempt, we're not going to even
We're not touching you. Yeah.
We're not. I wouldn't sign the declaration, because I was like, I don't need it. I don't know why you won't listen to me. I know that I can heal from this. I just have this absolute knowing. I can't describe it to you. I just know that I don't need my bowel removing. And I was talking to my bowel every day, multiple times a day. And I'm
Mm.
going, I trust that you can heal, body. I know that you're healing. I know that you are. So I'd use that from before. And I use that to talk to my body. And I walked out with my bowel. And I still have my bowel. They told me I'd
Wow.
die. They actually said, you'll die. If you don't have your bowel removed, you will die. It's that clean cut. And I went, no, I won't. I know I won't.
Mm.
It's that level of certainty that, and this comes from listening to yourself and not listening externally all the time. We give our power away to other people to answer our questions about our body. No one knows your body better than you if you start to listen.
So I'm intrigued now. I want to know like more
Yeah.
about that. When we
Mhm.
talk about listening to our body, let's
Mhm.
talk about that. What do you mean by that, and what are some of the signs that you should be listening to?
Yeah, so listening to your body starts with, for example, you could feel like, you know what, I need a drink. I need something to drink. I'm thirsty. And you just ask yourself, do I need a drink? Do I need something to eat? And it starts with simple things like that. Is this good for me? Do I actually want to eat this bread? Does this feel like it's good for me? It's as simple as that. It's nothing like, oh my God, mind blowing. It's going, do I really want this? So you're going into the sweetie drawer or the lolly drawer, as I say
Hmm.
in Australia, or the candy drawer if you're in America,
Okay.
and you're there and you stood there. Instead of just eating it, just go, do I really want that? Do I actually want that? And you will find your body will go, no. It's an
Mm,
emotional need. It's because you wanting, generally when we crave sweet stuff, it's because there's a lack of sweetness in our life.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, here Robin's saying, this is a great question. Asking
Yeah,
yourself, is this supportive of my health?
yeah,
It is, and then as you say, your body is going to tell you, or your mind is going to tell you, yeah, you can eat that. That would be really good for you. Or no, you don't really need that right now. Hmm.
yeah.
And so
It's
over a period of time, did you just
mhm,
keep doing this with
mhm,
multiple different things?
mhm.
And it sounds as if it's almost like it's training a muscle.
It is. It's training a muscle, and you know what? It doesn't take as long as you think. When you give your body moments of being with it, it pays back in dividends. Like it just gets easier and
Mm,
easier where you just even know why you're getting something. Because what happens is we use food, we use certain situations and circumstances as coping mechanisms. And when you start to understand, oh, I'm eating these sweets, I'm drinking this soda, I'm doing this, I'm avoiding exercise, I'm avoiding doing things that I love because there's a coping mechanism behind there. And when we start to see at the truth of what programs that we're running in our brain, we start to
mm,
go, hang on a minute, I actually don't need that. But the secret lies, Tracy, is not beating yourself up about it. And this is where a lot of people, when they come to me, they're chastising themselves. And that's not helpful because what you're saying is that you are fundamentally wrong and you don't trust yourself. And when you
yeah.
create that level of uncertainty and feeling unsafe, your body starts to feel unsafe. It then winds the nervous system up. So then you're going through this whole host of anxiety. So you just see it for what it is. You just go, interesting. And that's a really powerful statement because what it does is it shifts you from any judgment into curiosity. So rather than judging
Mm,
something's right, wrong, good, or bad, it shifts you in a place of curiosity of, okay, I'm doing it again. Okay, I'm back in the fridge again and I'm eating something that I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat it, but I do it because it's comfortable. I do it because I've always done it. That's it. Forgive yourself. It is what it is.
mm-hmm. And then I know one of the things that you talk about is sort of this concept of reprogramming. Do you want to
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that and how does that actually work? Because like you're saying, with those examples, it's like we've got into this habit of opening up the fridge. I'm going to go there on the regular and I'm
Yeah.
going to, what's the first thing I'm going to look for? Oh, the block of chocolate or whatever it is that's in there that takes your fancy at that moment, and filling our face with those things, even though we would know at that time, this is not really supportive of my health. It's not good for me, but we do it anyway. And you end
Yeah.
up in this almost like this vicious cycle, right? So
Yeah.
how does one sort of, firstly, you're recognizing, you're giving yourself some grace that it is what it is, but
Yeah.
now I'm ready and I want to do something about it.
Mhm. Well,
So
the
what's
first
the
stage,
next steps from there?
oh, sorry, love it. The first stage is you've got to take responsibility. If you don't take responsibility, then your mind will hide all of your protection mechanisms. It will hide them from you. Because if you're not taking responsibility, you're saying to your brain, well, I don't really want to see that. It's uncomfortable. So the brain goes, okay. If you're blaming and passing the buck onto someone else, your brain is going, okay, so you're not ready to see this. So I'm going to
Mm.
hide this information from you. By taking full responsibility and saying, you know what? It is what it is. My health's not great. My life's not great. Whatever it is for you. This is not just about health. Please know this conversation is about every aspect of your life. If you take responsibility and go, it is what it is. It's a bit of I'm not happy about it. I was going to swear, but I won't. I'm not happy. I'm not happy about what I've created. You have to take responsibility because only you can change it. If you don't take responsibility for what has happened in your life, you're saying to your brain, I'm not ready to see what I've created
Yeah.
there. The brain will go, okay, because it's a protection mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
not ready to take responsibility and your brain goes, and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this, you'll go insane. Because you'll feel so
Yeah.
unsafe inside of yourself because you're saying, well, this is not my fault. This is my mum's fault. This is my dad's fault. This is the doctor's fault. Yes, they did have part of the process, but at the end of the day, you have to, at that point, draw a line and say, yes, it happened, but now it's not going to happen because I'm going to learn from it.
Mm.
Then there's the acceptance. You've got
Powerful.
to accept it. Yeah, you've got to accept it. You've got
Powerful.
to go, it is what it is. And that's the self-forgiveness piece that we just spoke about. It is what it is. I'm at the fridge again. It is what it is. It's something I've done for years. I could have been doing this from the age of 4 or 5. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
when I started doing it. So how can I chastise myself for something that I chose to do as a child because it was the only way I felt safe in the world?
Yeah.
We don't know why we did it, but what we can trust is it was a survival mechanism that helped us believe that we will survive a situation or a circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't
And,
judge it.
and I think that is powerful in itself, is to recognize that we do things at a certain point, at a certain time, not to be harmful to ourselves, but to actually protect ourselves and to keep ourselves safe. So when you
Mhm,
sort of look at it from that point of view, you can give yourself some grace. You can allow yourself to forgive what realize that what you did was to be beneficial to you in that moment. And now you're moving forward, you're recognizing that, you're taking responsibility for it. And now you can start working on, like you say, I mean, simple as that self-talk, telling
mhm,
yourself the good
mhm,
things over and over and over again until it becomes a real habit across multiple areas of your life. And like you say, this isn't a conversation just about how do I heal myself from chronic illness. This could
mhm,
be in any area of one's life. But I think the chronic illness it's a really interesting thing because I've recently been Dawn was actually supposed to be on the show a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately I had to postpone because I was back in New Zealand visiting some of my family at the time and wasn't able to do the show. But one of my cousins who's been critically ill for a long, long time, and I find this really intriguing. I got to see him and he's actually looking really well. But you talk also about healing this chronic pain through our emotions. And
mm,
I'm hoping I will be reaching out to him and saying, hey, you should have a bit of a listen to this, because who knows, that might be some, there might be some there will be some helpful things within this show,
mm,
I'm sure, for somebody like him. So whenever I do a show like this, I'm always thinking of certain people in my life that I think certain things would help. So I'm really going to focus on he today, and hope that that when he does listen to this, that he's going to pick up some really
mhm,
beneficial things, and it will help him. Likewise with everybody else that's listening. But chronic pain, when we talk about this from an emotional standpoint, and
mhm,
I think what you've found somewhere along the line is that the chronic pain is almost the manifestation, is the thing that bubbles to the top, that is
mhm,
actually being caused by some form of emotional call it imbalance, I suppose, is what I would, whether it's
Yeah.
a trauma, whether it's something that's gone on that is
Mm.
kind of throwing your system into an
Mhm.
unbalanced state. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, and how does that actually work to try and get to the root cause of what a problem of the actual problem itself?
Yeah, so basically what happens is when we give our power away to our emotions and we believe that we are our emotions, we become scared of them. And when we become scared of them, we don't actually fully express them. So emotions is energy in motion. That's what emotions
Mm,
means. It's energy in motion. And what emotions are supposed to do is to come through and you experience them and you go, okay, this doesn't feel nice. This doesn't feel right, but I've got to feel it. So, for example, you could be in a car accident and you are T-boned, for example, highly traumatic experience. And what happens is you come away from that experience and you're like, that was traumatic. The car, I thought was going to lose my life. You got to sit with the fear of death. You've got to sit and
mm,
feel that. And what most people do is they go, oh, I'm still alive. It's fine. I'm okay. Blah, 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 blah.
mm-hmm,
And they push it
mm-hmm.
down.
Push it down. Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is they go speak to a friend. They speak to a neighbor. They go to work. They tell the partner. Compounding. Every time you share that story of that accident, your body is going through that accident again and again and again. And you'll feel the same emotions over and over again. And it traumatizes the body because the body is going, am I having an accident over and over and over again? Because the body doesn't know the difference between your
Mm,
imagination, you relaying a story, and it actually physically happening.
mm,
So the mind and the body play tricks. And this is not anything to do with it's trying to beat you up, it's trying to damage you, it's trying to hurt you. It's saying you have to sit with the emotion, you have to sit with the fear that you could have lost your life. You have to sit with the fear that the car was coming at you and you had no idea if you were going to get out of this or not. And when you sit with all of the fear of that incident, there is no PTSD. PTSD is your body saying, I need for you to feel this. I need for you to experience this emotion so it can pass through. But we've been
mm,
taught, push it down because crying, getting angry, frustrated, all of those emotions, they're wrong, they're bad. They're not. They're just an experience that's coming to you, that's coming through an emotion where your body is going, oh my God, we could lose our life right now.
yeah.
And men especially are told, you don't cry, suck it up,
Yeah.
get back up. So men are the ones that are highly impacted by this because men don't cry, men don't show emotions. You've got to have this stoic way about you. So they're the ones that generally suppress the most. So that's what I've
Mm.
found in
So,
relationship. Yeah.
so what we're saying now is that, hey, you want to experience all of those emotions. If things are coming out, if they're bubbling up, and you've got, whether it's crying, whether it's frustration, whether it's anger, whatever it is,
Hmm.
it, allow yourself to go through that emotion, because that is the, for want of a better word, it's the releasing of
Hmm.
that traumatic
Yes.
energy that's been built up inside your body. And if you don't allow that out, what you're saying
Hmm.
is that it's just going to keep, and we tend to like to tell our story over and over and over and over again. So leave it in there and just keep compounding on top of it until such time as it's almost as if there's no more room in one's body to be able to handle
Yeah.
any more trauma. And
Hmm.
therefore, what happens? It starts to try and, I'm then seeing it starts to try and make room elsewhere. So how do I make room elsewhere? I start attacking your organs. I start attacking parts of your body to make more room, to allow more of this to be housed there. I mean, that's just my very simple
Yeah.
analogy of how I'm seeing that happen.
It's to get your attention.
Mm,
Pain, disease, suffering, anxiety, depression, PTSD is to get your attention. That's it. Nothing else. But your body is going, I need you to look at this because I can't function and cope anymore. It's actually having an impact on the nervous system. It's having an impact on your immune system. And I can't function at 100% capacity until you start looking at this. And this is what people need to realize. And a really good analogy of this, because what we tend to do is we treat other people better than we treat ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share this analogy with you, which I find really powerful, is can you imagine if you were walking down the street and you saw a mother who had a screaming baby in a pram, and she picked the baby up and just gagged the baby and put a hand over the baby? Don't you scream, don't you cry. That's what you're doing to your body.
Yeah.
Don't you scream, don't you cry, you keep your mouth shut. That is what you're doing to your body. It is no different. We just assume that when we get older, that we don't need to listen to ourselves, that we can shut down and disconnect from our bodies. When we're children, we're so deeply connected to our bodies that we cry and we ask for help, and then we're told at some point, shh, shh. And then we just start doing it to ourselves because it's done to us so many times that we do it to ourselves. And that's how it starts. So please know that you've not done anything wrong. You've not done anything wrong. And this is where the acceptance and the responsibility comes in. It's your responsibility to change your future, but the acceptance is it is what it is.
What's interesting about this, when you start talking about it from a, internal point of view, having a relationship with oneself. And if you think about it from the perspective of, if you had a relationship with your husband and he's saying, your things are not right, I need more of your attention, or whatever the case may be, what do? You stop, you listen, in most cases, stop, you listen, and you do something about it. Yet when we tell ourselves, our body is telling us the same things, like you say, what do? Shush, I've got other things to do. I'm busy, or you just completely ignore it. I mean, if you actually did that to the ones you loved, to your closest and dearest people, they would not be there for very long. They would up and leave, and that's essentially what you're doing to your body. And you're saying to it, "You don't matter. I'm not really interested in you. You're nothing to me. So therefore, I don't need you." So it starts to up and leave. So I think this is really super powerful to just sit in those moments, feel whatever's going on, accept that it's happening, and allow the emotions to flow.
Yeah, it's that simple. We get in here too much though, and that's what I help people with, is to wire the brain for health, because most of us are designed to break down our bodies, not to heal them. That is the big thing. Yeah.
In that case, because that's really interesting, right? So if we're wired to break down our body, let's talk about some of the, like, what do you see when you say that? What do you mean, and what behaviors are you seeing? Because you've worked with loads and loads and loads of people that have been doing that for probably for decades, right?
Yes.
To get themselves to the point where they've got this chronic disease, or some ailment that's not good in their body. What are you seeing? What's happening? What's going on? How do you identify that?
Well, a lot of people would have heard of it as the imposter syndrome. Now, I don't believe it's an imposter. What I believe is that you have, over the years, collected so many stories and situations and circumstances about who you are as a person. And you've made this false belief, this false premise, and this false perception of who you are. And you've decided that's who you are on a daily basis, and you keep choosing that. So, for example, you may have been in a relationship and they told you you were worthless, you wasn't good enough. It could have been your parents, it could have been a work colleague, it could have been anything. And at some point you've made the decision that it's true. So then you've said to yourself, that's true. And the thing is with this is, we've done it so many times that when people say the imposter syndrome, I want for you to reframe that and go, this is telling me the lies that I'm telling myself. That's all it is. It's not an imposter. It's me. I've stacked evidence and stories of this identity of who I am, and I'm carrying it around, and I'm playing it constantly. It's like a radio station. It's playing the same song constantly over and over again. You're worthless. You're useless. In however that language is, because when you were a child, you did something, and you carry this burden around. And then this imposter syndrome takes over. But what it's doing is, again, everything is working for you. It's going, hey, You're saying all this stuff to you and you're wanting to create this life. This is not congruent. You
Yeah,
need to
there's.
look at this. Can you
Mm,
please just stop and listen to what you're saying to yourself? So what do? We listen to meditations. All you need to do is just listen to that noise and go, oh, that's interesting. Wow, listen to what I'm saying to myself. That's what meditation is
mm,
going inside of yourself, and however that shows up, it could be beautiful, it could be ugly, it could be anything. It's different every time you go in. So when people say, I
mhm,
want to learn how to meditate, all you do is just listen to that and go, is that helpful? I want this. And this is saying this is not incongruent. So I am never going to create it. And this is where people, they go, I want to be healthy. I want to have healthy habits. I want to feel good. I want to have a good relationship. I want to have a thriving business. And it's all of these areas because it's all interconnected. It's
mm.
how you generally see one thing is how you see most things. And then you've got this story running, well, you're not good enough. That won't be perfect. Oh, you won't get that done. Da, 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 da. And it just goes on and on and on and on.
Mm.
That mind cannot get you this. Impossible. Impossible.
Because your mind is going to do, this narrative that's playing over and over and over again. It thinks that's actually what you want, because that's the internal record that's playing, and it's always going to take you back to, let's call it the North Star. It's always going to take you back to center, which it thinks the center is over here, when in fact
Yes.
externally you're wanting to get over here. This is the life that I want, and like you say, it's never going to happen. So, I mean, it's such a fascinating thing. And I want to talk about this because a while back, I did a program, and you talking about just sitting for a moment, talking about this whole meditation, and I've got to, find some, music that I need to listen to, or some kind of guided meditation, where all you're saying is just sit for a while. One of my mentors told me to do that at one point. Go and just sit with nothing. No phones, no TV, no nothing. Basically, just you and your own thoughts. And you had to do it for 4 hours at a time. It was a challenge, let me tell you, to just sit with your own thoughts. Because when you do that, wow, you start to see, oh my God, is that the record? My goodness, I'm playing myself. Someone's saying here the hammock time. So, but what? This is the record that I'm playing. Is this really the record that I would want to be playing to myself?
Yeah.
No. So now we're at the point where we've done that. We've listened to ourselves, and we've maybe listened, and we haven't really liked the record that we've just been listening to, because
Yeah.
it's not so positive. How do we make the change? What sort of things can somebody start to do? Like, if someone wanted to do this today and says, look,
Mhm.
I'm at I'm there. I'm at this moment in time
Mhm.
where I'm ready for change. I want to do something about this. I'm ready to take
Mhm.
ownership and own this thing and do something about it. What's
Mhm.
next?
So what I want to share is my understanding through running pain clinics and through the method that I created is that when you want to make these changes, you have to be consistent. And what that means is you have these programs and structures that's saying, I'm not good enough, I am stressed, I'm anxious, I'm under pressure all of the time. So you've created a brain and you've created mechanisms of stress and a stress
Mm,
response because most of us are just here to survive. We've programmed our brains for survival. That breaks down the body. So you're saying, I want to thrive. So what you've got to do is you've got to go, right, okay, I've got neural connections and pathways that are wired for me to survive. I need to change the biggest ones that are going to collapse the rest of them so that I am in this place of thriving. So, what is it that annoys me the most in life? What is it that really gets me upset? What gets me angry? What has me agitated? What areas of my life am I not happy with? And it's having a frank conversation with yourself. And from that, you'll start to see the themes. And there's generally about between 6 and 12. There's 6 and 12 themes that you're running inside of your brain that keep you in the stress structure. And you just choose
mhm,
one at a time. You stay focused on the one at a time and you ask your brain to show all of the evidence. And what happens is you have this neural connection of the old way. So this neural connection is wiring and firing the same way all of the time. You don't even need to think about it. It's called unconscious competence. So it's when you get in the
mm,
car and you're like, how did I get here?
mhm,
Unconscious
mhm,
competence. You have to break this down. And the reason why it's so hard to break it down is because the brain goes, are you sure? are you sure, you want to let this go? Because I've got all this evidence. This has kept us alive here, 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 here. Are you sure you want to let this go? And what happens is you have to pattern interrupt that. And what that means is the interesting statement, some kind of way. And then what happens is you create this junction here. So you've got the old and you've got the new. So you've got this junction here, and the prefrontal cortex will switch on. And it'll go, hey, you keep doing this way, and you're telling me you want this way, but we've still got this one. So are you going to keep choosing this? Or are you going to choose this one? And the more that you keep doing this, the brain will go, oh, right, I get it now. So you're replacing this and you're using this, and it'll break down this neural connection and pathway and keep this one functioning. This is why you've got to have repetition until the point goes, the brain goes, oh, I get it now. You want the new neural connection, you want the new pathway. And when you get the main ones, it collapses all the others that are connected to it, because they have thousands and thousands of connections. So when you get the main ones and you collapse them, changes like that.
Yeah. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier about, it being like a muscle, and now you've created some new muscle memory. Essentially is like, oh, I get that. I know I don't no longer go down the right hand side. I go to the left. That feels more natural to me because I've been doing it over and over and over again, and you've created those new neuro pathways. I mean, it's so fascinating. And as you're doing this sort of stuff, I mean, are there particular questions that we can even be asking ourselves? Like, say we have a set of beliefs. This has come up in this conversation too. We believe certain things, and they can either be helpful to us or less helpful to us, depending on what that is. But I mean, is there a specific question that you can be asking yourself to determine? Maybe it's just something as simple as this: do you really believe that? Do you really believe that?
Yeah. There's so many questions you can ask yourself, and the more intelligent questions you ask yourself, the quicker you will heal. The one that I've found the most profound for people is to get them to understand what the path of freedom looks like and what the path of destruction looks like. And when you have someone understand, well, I want to create this life, I want to feel like this, I want to wake up and I want to experience this, and I want to have this kind of relationship. Okay, that's what you want to create. Really ground and know that this is what you want to create. This is the true north that you want to create. And this is what you used to create. And this is the path of destruction. Okay, so path of freedom, you understand that. You go, right, this is what I want to create. The path of destruction, okay, this is what I've been creating. This is what it's turned out in my life. And ask yourself a question. Am I creating from the path of freedom, or am I creating from the path of destruction? Everything comes down to these two. That's it. Every single choice that you make in your life will come down to one or two. Is it going to help me grow? Is it going to help me expand? It might not be comfortable. Okay. This is usually the comfortable one, because this is the old new neural connections and pathways, and it's in your comfort zone. But the path of freedom is generally a little bit scary. But at the same time, there's a little bit of excitement in there. And you start to sense and feel that everything is about feeling. You have to feel your body. Does your emotions right now have a bit of excitement and fear? Or does it just have nothingness? Just same old, same old. Generally the same old, or it's dense, is coming from the path of destruction. Your emotions are a guidance system. They're letting you know, are you creating a life that you actually want, or are you creating a life that you used to have and want and desire? Because you knew no different. A lot of people just meander around and don't even know what they want in life.
So true.
That's the biggest thing that I help people with is let's pull from you what you actually want. Because if you don't know what you want, then how do you know what neural connections and pathways to keep in your brain? How on earth can you heal yourself if you don't even know what your future looks like without the disease, without the pain and suffering? If you can't see a future without that, then the pain is more powerful than you. And as long as any pain, disease, anything that's going on in your life is more powerful than you, forget it. You're never going to get it.
It's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. Yeah. It's here to stay. So it is really important that we start to take some time to create some clarity
Mm-hmm.
about what does my life want to, what do I want my life to look like? I'm in the present, I'm in the now, but what am I creating today? It's, today, because I mean, in every moment forward is the future. So I'm creating, what do I want? And we're talking here about like what we're thinking, and then turning into the behaviors. I mean, in a really simplistic kind of, sense, that's what we're doing, changing the way
Yes.
that we think, which then is going
Yes.
to impact the behaviors that we
Mm-hmm.
do on a daily basis, and then those behaviors
Mm-hmm.
then start to impact the outcomes that you have, and all of a sudden, the pathway that you're on is to the pathway of freedom rather than destruction.
Yeah.
But I think this is such a fascinating conversation, and just goes to show how powerful we are as human beings, right? How powerful we can be. And
Yes.
often, throughout this conversation, we've talked about owning our power and
Mm.
and and listening to ourselves, because
Mm-hmm.
we are the only ones. Often we go to other people to say, well, can you figure me out? And expect that they're going to figure us out when we haven't even figured ourselves out. So, in
Mm-hmm.
this case, we're saying, hey, you might need a little bit of help to do that, and a bit of
Mm-hmm.
guidance to do so, but there are ways in which you can sit with oneself, figure out and listen to ourselves to know what we truly want in our life. And when you
Mm-hmm.
do that, it enables you to shed, let go of, allow to leave all the things that that are no longer serving you well.
That's right. That's
Mm.
exactly right.
I, I
And
I
if
know.
you don't mind, sorry, Tracy, I just
Yeah,
wanted to
go
tie it
for it.
back to those situations. I knew I was more powerful than the alcohol.
Mm,
Yeah. I knew I was more powerful than whatever was taking over my body and wanting to, I don't know, break down my bowel at that point. I knew that my capabilities of speaking to my body, I knew I was more powerful than whatever was happening to me. Okay. That's what I want
mm,
people to realize. I just instantly did it. Okay. I had no resistance. There were no neural connections and pathways because I'd stacked evidence. Hang on a minute. When I was younger, I did that. So if I did it there, can I do it now? I had evidence that it worked.
yeah.
That's how it works. It compounds and it compounds and it compounds and it compounds. So when I was disabled and told that this is it, I'd gone down all of the route of listening to the professionals, gave all my power away. I didn't learn. I did all of the stuff that all of us do. I went onto opioids, painkillers, became addicted because I completely lost who I was as a person. I had a newborn child. I didn't even know what my identity was anymore. I lost who I was. So I
Mm,
lost access to that powerful me. But when I made the decision, this is not my life, I am more powerful, guess what? I created the same situation and circumstances I've done the other times. It's the resistance that you have, and the resistance that you have is inside of you and it's in here.
yeah.
That's how your brain can heal you. That's how your mind can heal you. That's how you do it. You
Mm,
have no resistance to what you want to create. And if you have
mm,
all these things and all these stories telling you exactly the opposite of what you want to create, you will never create it.
mm.
So you've got to ask yourself the questions and you've got to be honest and you've got to go, you know what? I'm just ready to be shown and seen, brain, where I'm stopping myself from thriving. I'm ready to receive it. I'm ready to see it. I just
Mm.
felt like I wanted to tie that up, Tracy. Sorry.
Oh, no, thank you very much for doing that, because it makes so much, that makes such a lot of sense. And I know that people who are listening today, some may be sitting there thinking, gosh, I'm ready. I want to do something, I want to do something about this. And
Mhm.
most likely they're going to want to know, what else does Dawn do? How do I connect with her? How can she help me? Where's the best place for them to go, Dawn, to see what else you do, and maybe to
Mhm.
even connect with you further to see if you in fact are able to help and give them some guidance on how
Mhm.
they too can take back their power to
Yeah.
change the trajectory of their lives.
So there's two ways. The first way I want to share is my business, Alleviate Pain. This is for people that want to go through a self-managed process and learn what I've been talking about, but in depth, so that your brain comprehends and understands that you are trying to heal yourself, that you are
Hmm.
going down the right path. And there's tools and techniques in there so that you can master your mind. Therefore, you can heal your body and heal your life. And on there, there's actually a meditation. And what this meditation does, and I'll give you the details, it's like a little mini meditation course. It helps you to connect to your heart. And when you connect to your heart, you can start to understand what it is that you want to feel, what you want to create, and what the resistance is. So that's a really good start for people to go onto there. And that's alleviatepain.com.au, and that's freebies, FREEBIES. That's where you're going to get information there in relationship to that meditation, and look through the programs. There's many programs there that can help you get through. If you're wanting to have like one-on-one access to myself, then go onto my website, which is dawncady.com.au. And on there, what I do have is lots of information to help people. So the 6 stages that I spoke about, I just touched on it. There is a full program there for free that takes you through the process so that you can actually ask yourself these intelligent questions. Like I said, the intelligent questions is what is going to help you heal. And if you go there, it's dawncady.com.au, and that's /healing-path. Okay. And what that does is it gives you the path to help you be able to help yourself. And if you're ready to work with me, you can go into the services in there and you can book a one-on-one with me. And generally the one-on-one with me is very different to anything that you'll experience, because I understand the mind and body so well. I can connect with the other person's body and know exactly what's going on. I know exactly what's going on in the mind. So it's like a bypass of maybe 7 or 8 years of work, 3 or 4 years of working with somebody one-on-one. We can generally get to in 1 or 2 sessions.
Fantastic. Well, there you go, guys. So dawncady.com.au/healing-path. So head on over there, or you can go to www.alleviatepain.com.au. Go and check both of those out. Dawn has given you, a few freebies that you can even tap into. So go and do those today. Out of every Unlock show, I want to make sure that you guys get something that is actionable and that you can do it right away. So head on over to her website, download those free resources that she's given you today, and then you can decide if you want to take this further. Trust me, I know, I've used these techniques myself. I know many people who have, and they work. When you can get to a point where you are able to almost like mind control of thyself, when you're able to do that, miraculous things start to happen. So head on over and do that. I want to say thank you so much, Dawn. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. I know that this has been a really interesting conversation for everybody. We want to make sure that we're giving you all the tools that you need to help you thrive in your business, your family, and your life. And if today's show in any way has been useful to you, I'd love you to head on over to Apple and make sure that you give us a bit of a review. We would love to have your review on Apple Podcasts. Find us on Apple, on all different podcasting platforms, but also Facebook, YouTube, and a bunch of other social media sites if ever you want to come back and re-listen to the show or any other of the Unlock Show episodes. So I want to say thank you very much to Dawn for being an absolutely fabulous guest today, and thank you to everybody who's been tuning in and listening to the Unlock Show for quite a number of months. I think we've been going now for over 2 years, which just absolutely blows my mind. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again with another amazing guest next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m. on another episode of The Unlock Show. Thanks very much, and go and live your life unlocked, because there's just no other way. Thanks, Dawn, and bye, everybody. See you next week.